Hello and welcome back to Adelphi University's Exercise Performance Laboratory. Today I'm going to go over how to set up a protocol using the Biodex isokinetics machine. This machine we use sometimes in our studies, sometimes with our laboratory investigations course over the summer. So in case you ever have to set up a new protocol, if you're running any kind of study, this is how we're going to do it. So let me take you through it. Here on the screen you can see we're already up and running. The program is launched. This is the first screen you're going to see. From here, what I want to do is I want to go into protocol. Now, generally, we'd have a protocol set up already. You would pick this protocol and run through it. For us today, we're going to add a new protocol. It's going to initially ask you for a description of that protocol. So just for today, I'm going to call it setting up a protocol. Alright, so the first thing that we want to change here is up at the top under mode. We have a few things that we can pick from. Most often we're using isokinetic. It is possible to use isometric if we're trying to get an MVC or a maximal voluntary contraction. The isokinetic is the one we use most often in our lab though. So for that purpose, I'm going to go ahead and click isokinetic. The next thing we're worried about here is the joint. Which joint do we want to focus on? Knee, ankle, hip, shoulder, elbow, etc., etc. The two most common ones we've been working with here are the knee and the ankle. We have worked with the shoulder when NYIT comes and shows their physical therapy students a little bit about this machine. Just for today, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to use our most prevalent exercise modality, and that is with the knee. So from there, we're looking, which do we want? The extension and flexion or external internal rotation. Generally speaking, we're going to pick extension and flexion. So let's go extension, flexion. Now the contraction. This is a little bit interesting here. We have a few options. Concentric is the one that we use during our laboratory investigations class. Concentric eccentric is one that we used during a study that Mike Aquino did here. Eccentric, concentric, we're not too worried about right now. If you're going to use that, you'll know it and you can pick that. For today, I'm going to click the classical concentric. What that means is we're going to be concentrically extending and concentrically flexing the knee, which means we're going to use both the quadriceps and the hamstring muscles. Okay, the next thing we have here is the number of speeds. So that's how many sets we're going to perform on either leg. We usually go anywhere from 3 to 5 speeds. Right now we have it set up at 4 speeds, and so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it there. Okay? You see up at the top right here, we have a choice between bilateral and unilateral. In most cases, we're only going to use the unilateral study. We did use bilateral for Mike's study again because we were testing both sides. So bilateral both legs, unilateral one leg. We're going to end by repetitions. Okay, so here you see end by reps 5. That's perfect. We'll leave 5 for all of these. That means that each set after 5 repetitions, the machine is going to stop, and that's going to end that particular set. Now, speeds here, this has to do with the degrees per second, right? So if it's at 60 degrees per second, that means it's going to travel 60 degrees in 1 second until the full range of motion is reached. If we're going 90 degrees at 60 degrees per second, we're going to be going for 1.5 seconds. Okay, so the idea here is we're going to look at the relationship between force production and velocity. That force-velocity curve we talked about so much here. Okay, the idea is at 60 we'll be able to produce way more force. Figure at higher speeds, 240 for example, we're going to produce more power, because power is measuring that force over time. Okay? Force distance over time. So we can set our speed away. We'll go 60, 120, 180, 240. This can go all the way up to 500 degrees per second. That's insanely fast. It goes as low as 5 degrees per second, which is extremely slow. We're going to keep them as they are, 60, 120, 180, 240. You can adjust those no matter what. If you're looking at power, you're going to make higher speeds. If you're looking at force production, you're probably going to go lower, maybe even an isometric contraction. For us, we're trying to look at the relationship between speed and velocity, velocity and force. And so we're going to get a range, 60, 120, 180, 240, to look at the different force production at all of those different speeds. The torque down here, occasionally you'll have the option to change that. That matters most if you're dealing with somebody who's extremely strong. This right here is set for 135 foot-pounds of torque. That means they're going to have to produce a little bit over 135 foot-pounds of torque in order to get that machine to move. That shouldn't be a problem here. It's set at a standard, so we're not worried about that right now. Anatomical reference is fine. You do not need to touch that. It can stay at 90. Rest time in seconds. We're going to change this depending on the trial. Okay, think of your population and think of what you're looking for. If you're looking for maximum force production, of course we're going to want this to be as close to 3 minutes as possible. Most of the time, since we're working at such low rep ranges, we're not worried as much about getting those 3 minutes. We can manage 1 minute just for time purposes. So here, I'm going to leave that at 60. We've gone as low as 30 seconds if we're trying to get a lot of people in. Just understand the repercussions and the imperfections that has in your measurements when you're doing that kind of thing. Okay? Attachment sensitivity, we're fine here. It's at the knee, which is 1. That's what we want. Cushion, hard. If our cushion is too soft, it's going to be difficult. The force transfer is not going to be perfect through that cushion. So we want a hard cushion. Our cushions here are hard. Down here you have that option to change end by. We have reps, time, or work. Most often we're going to be using reps. Okay. So that is all it is right there. After you have all of those things set up, you go ahead and you hit save at the top, and that is how you create a protocol on the Biodex isokinetics machine. Okay, now let's say from here I wanted to go ahead and run a test. Well, I have to go back into patient. I have to open that patient, and let's just say I'll run one on myself. Search. Okay, I'm going to search for my last name. I make sure I hit the search button, and then I find my name, Peter. Okay, I'm going to click New, and from there I can pick the protocol. The protocol that I just set up should already be picked. If it is not, I go ahead here and hit Select Protocol. Now, since this was a bilateral study that I just created, I'm going to go into isokinetic bilateral. Go all the way down to knee extension and flexion, and now I'm going to find my title here, setting up a protocol. Let's go ahead and select that. That's perfect, and from here, this will take you to another video in which we show you how to administer a test using the biokinetics machine. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.